Yes, greetings chaps and welcome to the longest introduction ever. I saw this clip with Pearl Davis on Piers Morgan and she was discussing, it was more like she was BTFOing some ditzy blonde who, being a feminist, her name is utterly irrelevant, as we shall see. The thing is with Pearl, she's come under a bit of fire recently, mainly because she said you're more attractive at 25 than at 35 if you're a woman. This used to be common sense 50 years ago, and this dropkicked a hornet's nest among many women across the board. It was thin-skinned emotions, ad-homs, and hormonal outrage everywhere, which is not a surprise. There were no homes to the Y chromosomes, and you can kiss my ass if you find that offensive. So many women attacked her personally, again, emotions and hormones. Meanwhile, all the blokes in the comment section, being the proud owners of a penis, were stumped at the reaction, because again, we're driven by logic. So many blokes were asking, how did her point go over all of your heads? What the hell is wrong with all of you? The men were very blunt, as you can expect. She didn't call women unattractive at 35, just that you are more attractive at 25 than at 35. Like she said, common sense 50 years ago. And I don't care what your political affiliation happens to be, but if your go-to response was to insult her appearance, you reek of insecurity. Well done. Or if you're married and you had that response, you might want to have a moment alone and ask yourself why that is. The thing is with Pearl though, she rose to prominence doing conversations, and there's a certain topic at hand, information you wish to impart into the people, or difficult conversations to be had, which means after a while you're going to be watching not for personal information, but rather the reaction or entertainment value of the unexpected audience who's getting lumped black and blue with the uncomfortable. If that's the core model, you're going to eventually up the incendiary because your payoff in the long run is the controversy. The thing that I don't like about her opposition, because I'm also a fan of Andrew Tate, and in this instance I consider myself far better than a lot of people, yes, this is the one arena where I will actually boast, is I don't have an allegiance to a side. People are so hopelessly tribal these days. It seems the amount of people that can separate the art from the artist, so to speak, and just absorb the raw information, seems to be rather minimal, seems to be rather rare. I don't buy into this stupid narrative of, oh, she's not married, she doesn't have any kids of her own, she's not practicing what she preaches, all of that kind of guff. That's bollocks. Would the cautious word of a drug addict to avoid drugs become less potent just because they're high? No. But anyway, let the bloodbath begin. It should be funny.
Welcome back to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate.
Move it along, Piers.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand the complaint.
Chaps, let's be real for a moment, shall we? Before we even watch this, we all damn well know that feminist is not going to address any of that because they think with their emotions, which in reality means they don't think at all.
Okay, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist.
Political journalist, yeah, you're definitely not interested in any facts.
Ava Santini, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you've been called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. You know, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about. But overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men. Okay,
look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive.
Or sane if you happen to not be a moron.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true. You look it up.
At the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
Oh, fuck off, Piers. That is low-key one of the most sexist things he's ever said. That women were conditioned by men into thinking they don't need the right to vote. Piers, are you that much of a misogynistic asshole that you think women are too stupid to think for themselves and see the value in men holding the reins of power? Do you think that women today who oppose feminism are doing so because they've been conditioned by men, do you? You realize one of them is sitting across from you at this very moment telling you she read the writings of the women of that period. And hypothetically, even if they were conditioned by the men, they were nonetheless correct. And those women then were wise to listen to the opinions of those men. It's funny women are fully as agentic, intelligent, and logical as men, but at the same time, they're so stupid they wouldn't know that voting was important until other women told them it was. Heaven's sake, your bloody luck at that point will fly over most people's heads up until a South African madman sporting a top hat points it out. What a twat.
I mean, that's what they say, but, I started reading their writings, right? And what I found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family.
And they were correct.
Before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
What's that got to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S., they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but specifically on the vote.
You see, this is why I hate this format. Pearl is known for doing longer form content, and Piers over here is trying to produce the viral moment. We all know the game by now. Welcome to people have fuck all attention spans. You can't produce a sufficiently adequate response to a question that requires a journey and destination of 2 hours into mere minutes. It just doesn't work.
2 votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped about
No, do you know what it's sort of like?
I know.
It's just sort of a bit galaxy brain.
Yes, I know being confronted with anything that upsets your first gear level noggin is terrifying for you, love.
I feel like, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up.
AKA, they're upsetting to my narrative. Please stop because I can't debunk them.
I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean, at
allegedly?
The time, well,
what do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were.
Yes.
Can we just pause for a moment to appreciate just how stupid this one really is? Women weren't allowed to write, or they weren't allowed to go to school. Question for you then, love. What kind of an insanely suicidal civilization would ever permit these creatures the right to vote then? I just realized that statement goes well beyond just sex. Never mind, this is a very slippery slope.
That's incorrect. The first female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made.
Yes, it was.
Self-made. Yes, it
and
was.
She never inherited land.
Yes. She did not inherit it.
What law permitted that?
Oh my god, the smug stupidity is going to give me a bloody aneurysm. The worldview of these things is just... I don't even know how to describe this. The idea that men can have a power over women, but they can still somehow lead happy and fulfilling lives is frame-breaking to their narrative. If women aren't equal to men in every bloody aspect, they're destined to be miserable and oppressed forever. There's a reason why these women are all miserable and alone, unable to snag a blow. What kind of a man would want to be near this kind of energy? For fuck's sakes.
What
law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in history.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand...
A great many things.
Notice when Pearl points things out, typical lefty, address nothing, deflect and move on.
Is, a part of your message, I've researched you today.
Research you today. Okay, it's safe to say this one knows absolutely nothing about Pearl. Let me translate this for you all. I know nothing about this woman, I have no interest in learning anything here at all, and I'm just here to be the antagonistic counterbalance, and that's all. That is the only function of this blonde in the segment.
Hang on a minute.
Okay.
You know, your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
Well, I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't
Care
made
about
the
women
point
too,
yet. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Based-
How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives, they have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers, and they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I'm gonna lose IQ points by the end of this conversation, aren't I? How are you this thick? Everything you say is wrong. What kind of a bloke would listen for approval from a woman to be misogynistic? Do you think before stupidity exits your face? Tell me something, if a parent says no to a child, does it mean the parent hates the child? No, it means the parent knows better than the child. Now apply that to voting. The thing is with Pearl, with this opinion, she's wired like a guy. She doesn't care about the abstract qualities of the vote, she's more concerned with the outcomes. So she looks at the writings, the warnings of a previous age, saw that the warnings did in fact come to fruition, and now she is motivated by better outcomes. But the opposition is fixated on perpetuating this myth that women voting is somehow better, even though they have no arguments for it. It's very much the attitude of, I would rather have the feeling of power in hell than serve in heaven. That's a good line, I should use it more often actually. I've seen her on a few podcasts by now. Even when she was on Trigonometry, she laid out her points, and the two Democratic simps sitting across from her jokingly conceded that she made good points, and then they moved on, didn't challenge any of them. In fact, no one has challenged her on why she is wrong, and that's why she keeps saying it. Because if there was a coherent argument against her, she wouldn't keep advocating for it.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists are
well,
saying.
then
No, they aren't, and let's be real for a moment here, shall we? There is not a woman alive that calls herself a feminist that would be able to even articulate what equality even means without embarrassing herself. Get friggin' real.
okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're
don't you
open,
go and
they're
work there?
hiring, because I don't equate for, I don't think men or women are equal until we do the
Right.
equal work. So no, listen, go apply to be on the oil rigs, go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go be on the front lines of the military, and then we should have equal rights. But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, but I don't think that I'm physically built for that.
That's her whole point, you dozy bint!
You might be, but I'm absolutely
That's
not.
a
You,
bit-
no, but you
Wow.
said you were
Wow,
a volleyball.
wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do.
Did this one just imply that a volleyball player somehow possesses the strength to work an oil rig? Yes, she did, Otherberry. Leaves the one upside of free speech is nothing makes one despise the clan of XXs faster than just letting them talk.
I don't think
But
that
I don't
can
have more
do those
strength. I don't have
jobs.
more strength
But
than
I'm
the
not
average
gonna take your
man.
right away to
I don't
do
have
it.
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be
That's
equal.
not
Also,
right.
you also, but you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate and the average marriage
Why is that all
8
down to the women,
years.
though?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why
But
feminists ruin it?
you asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish
Yeah.
that first? So I'm saying, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
I wasn't on board with her at first, but I can't find a flaw in her long-term relationship argument. If divorce is on the cards for you, why are you bothering getting married at all? It's a good point.
Doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin, so you wouldn't be able to get married?
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin.
I've been editing this video for hours now, and I've been most apprehensive about using this word. But at this point in time, I just don't give a toss anymore, and I need to slip this in. This blonde is a fucking bitch. Research Pearl, just today you claim that she's spoken openly about not being a virgin. Why is this the point you choose to bring up? Again, drug addict argument, completely incapable of understanding the concept of learning from other people's mistakes. I don't care anymore. This woman is useless. She has said absolutely fuck all worthwhile in this entire segment. Pearl brought a dissenting opinion and facts to back it up, and the other one brought an empty bucket she calls a head. This woman has been a bratty, combative bitch throughout. There's no wonder she couldn't bring a coherent case against Pearl when it came to stripping women of the right to vote. She's the poster child that makes Pearl's case.
And so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually...
People are going to meme this face into orbit, by the way. And once again, typical woman. Couldn't argue the point, so she went for the personal attacks. Catty, bratty, underhanded, and cheap. Only on OnlyFans.
And that's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
No, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
What you mean shouldn't be allowed to? Oh, sweet Jesus. The concept of learning from somebody else's mistakes is completely absent from this chick's perspectives.
Hang on. Okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
so she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't...
You might not like them.
But I'm here to challenge them.
Only thing being challenged is your mental capacity, or rather lack thereof.
Exercising her right as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. Don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering
I would actually love to see Ava Santana on an oil rig.
Seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm
doing the same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
Ava, I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate, where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff. When I hear things like that, I think there'll be a lot of people, especially older generation women perhaps, who think, you know what, she's got a point.
Well, I mean, I believe in agency, so I think that if a woman is going to look after her children in divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand...
I get the impression, because you've said that about, 3 times now, you don't really understand much of anything.
Even before the 1920s, women could speak openly. This idea that, women couldn't talk the last 500 years. There have been women throughout history.
The American state education system has failed before, and it's failing now.
There have been women throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in society.
Okay.
So this idea women could never do it.
Do you know what I don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have abortions, you say that they have STDs.
The question is, are they fat, yes or no? The average American woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest, we now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense. So actually on that point again, there's a bit of truth in that.
And this is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive? It's nonsense.
We're not talking about morbid obesity. I was actually watching your podcast earlier and you spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12.
Size 12 is about 70 kilograms, mind you. You're a woman who weighs 70 kilograms, you're fat.
And you called her fat, obese, and a divorcee.
She was fat, obese, and a divorcee. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is the thing, women, we don't want to live in reality. We don't want to say things that are true. Was she fat? Yes. Was she a divorcee? Yes. These things are just objective facts.
Okay. And you know how you know they're bad? It's because that sting of shame is never, ever going to get diminished, no matter how much political interference is thrown at it. Which is excellent, because a society that has no shame is a society with no bloody standards. And once again, I apologize for nothing.